Yay! Episode 3. Super excited to have Money with Maddie here today. Maddie Walton.
That's me.
Yay! So we like to start off firstly with what are we grateful for today? So Maddie, what are you grateful for today?
I am grateful that I have the opportunity to start my own business. So this week I've started my own business in mortgage broking. So new company name is Money Lounge, and I'm so excited to release and launch it to the public. So going live in June, which is exciting. So I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
Yay, well done.
What are you grateful for?
I'm grateful for living in such a beautiful country. I was away for 4 weeks and it was such a huge eye-opener in Europe. So I'm really, truly grateful to live in Australia. I just am really happy to live here. Now, the beautiful you. What are you grateful for today, Jess?
I am grateful for the snuggles I had with my little boy this morning. Even though I didn't sleep the whole night, just waking up in his arms is what I'm grateful for today.
Oh, beautiful.
And like we always start our podcast is our daily mantra. So today I woke up, as I do every morning, to read our mantra. And it says, be the reason someone smiles. Be the reason someone feels love and believes in the goodness in people. I have the power to create happiness for those around me.
I love that. It's really nice.
Very touching. And it's something I definitely believe in.
Absolutely.
That's why we've been put on earth,
Absolutely.
to create happiness around.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So, Maddie, tell me a bit about you. Like, where have you come from? Like, how have you ventured into this business of yours?
That's a long story. How long do we have?
As long as you want. I want to hear every single little detail.
I've come from, ironically, my background is not in finance. It's not in marketing. It's nothing to do with the things I do now. My background is actually in science. So my trade is a vaccine developer. I was a medical scientist. Yeah, so that is my trade. It's what I went to uni for. It's what I did for the first few years out of uni. And when I was there, I was working part-time at Apple. So I was doing 2 jobs. I was working about 70 hours a week.
Wow, you sound like what I did when I was younger as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I could ever do it now. But hey, I mean,
said last
starting your own
week.
business, you're pretty much working 24/7 anyway. So back to it. But no, I was in both jobs, and I've always been interested in finance and in money. My dad's an accountant. And so with that, I was always curious about money, and I always loved asking questions about it. But even though my parents, like my dad was an accountant, my parents were always very weird about money conversations and talking about finances. I'd ask what credit cards were, what their mortgage was, how much do they earn. That's adult stuff. You're not allowed to ask those questions. It's rude to ask, which it usually was. That's what we've always been taught. And then you get to school, you try and learn about money. Don't really get taught it at school. You get to high school, you get to university. At uni, you start having jobs, and then you go, okay, now I've got a pay slip. What is tax? What is super? You don't really know, and then you can't ask your colleagues because then it's rude to ask about pay and the differences between wages, and you can't ask other people because, again, it's rude. Like, that's a really rude thing to ask. But then you're assumed to know it yourself. And so we're in this situation where we don't learn from the people around us, but we're assumed to learn. We're assumed to know it, but how do we learn that? And I was here getting stuck about, I want to learn and I want to talk about these things because I find money so interesting and I really love it. But no one was talking about it. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start talking about it, because as soon as one person starts talking, it tends to open other people up to do those things. So when I was working both jobs, I mean, at Apple, we were very lucky to be part of an employee share scheme. And so we got to buy Apple shares at a discounted price. And that was the way I'd start to talk to people about it. How much of your pay are you putting towards shares? How much have you got in your shares now? What are you earning? And I just asked questions, and people were very uncomfortable until I started divulging things about my personal experiences and what I'm earning and what I'm putting in shares, how much I have saved, and all of those questions. As soon as you start to say things, people are like, oh, yeah, this is what I'm doing. People want to talk about it. They just don't feel comfortable to, because we've been taught that it's a taboo topic. If you open up that conversation, people will absolutely start talking to you about money. And then I'd find people come and pull me aside and want to ask me questions, and just became a very constant thing that I ended up repeating a lot. So I was like, let me just make an Instagram just for my personal finances, for my journey, and just everything that my friends are asking me, I'm just going to put on an Instagram page so I don't have to keep repeating myself.
So what age was that?
I was 22.
22.
Right? So it was 4 years ago, yeah. And it's obviously grown a lot since then. So I'm about 24,000 followers now.
Congratulations.
So it's not just my close circle anymore. So that built into something that I became really passionate about. Ended up while working both jobs, like building that page, sharing what I save, what I earn, what I spend, my tips and tricks in finance, what I've learned along the way, and building that community. That was amazing. It was never meant to be a big community. It was just me being transparent about my finances and making hopefully reducing the stigma around money conversations. And I took people through my home buying journey. I had a really bad experience with 7 different mortgage brokers, but I loved the process of buying my first home. I used buyer's agents. I wholeheartedly believe in them. Real estate agents wouldn't take me seriously as a 23-year-old single girl buying her first home. No one would look at me. They would look at my dad. They just didn't care. And so then I loved the process so much, but I hated the way I was treated. And I was like, you know what? If you want to see a change in an industry, be the change in the industry. And so at the end of that year, this is in 2022, I decided that I wanted to, or 2021, end of 2021, I decided let's dip my toes into mortgage broking and see what that looks like. I didn't realize there could be a job in finance that didn't feel like I was taking things from people and taking money, because accountants are expensive and boring. No offense, Dad.
No, well, the funny thing, I started at uni in accounting.
Yeah,
and
I
had
do.
my friends turn around to me and went, Jessica, you do not have the
personality
personality
of
to
an
be an accountant. So I lasted 6 months and that was me done. But look, in the 6 months, I learned enough for my first business.
Yeah.
But yes, accountants are boring.
Yes.
I've been told that.
I didn't really want to sell homes or be in the property space because I did love it, but it wasn't about finance really. It's about property. Financial planners are so out of reach for so many people, which is another reason why I started my Instagram page. I wanted to bridge that gap between saving and learning and then getting a financial planner, because financial planners, let's be real, they're like 6 to 10 grand. And what if you only have 10 grand in savings? What if you're just trying to start saving? You can't afford that kind of advice. It is a wealth gap there. There's a generational wealth gap there to be able to afford financial advice. They absolutely have their place, but how do you get there to be able to start using them? You need free, accessible information. What do mortgage brokers do? Free, accessible information. So I found a real big link there for me. I love property, but I love finance and I love helping people for free. And that was a big thing for me, and having that educational part in that space. So I started out 2.5 years ago now, working for a mortgage broker as a loan processor. I believe that you shouldn't rush into anything, and the thing is, it's such a low barrier to entry for anything in property. Mortgage brokers, you just do diploma and then you become a broker. Same thing with buyer's agents, you don't have to do a diploma. Same thing with real estate agents, you do a weekend course. It's very low barrier to entry to do the jobs that we do. So I wanted to make sure I was doing it right. People get into it for the money, and I'm not in it for the money.
Yep, I agree with
So
that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to learn everything I need to know. I'm going to work under a broker. I'm going to become the best broker I can be. So my first ever client is going to be the exact same experience as my 100th, as my 1,000th client. I want to know everything. And so I was like, I'm going to do that time. I'm going to treat this like a degree. I'm going to learn, and I'm going to be an intern. I'm going to work. And so that's what I've done. And yeah, now this week I've started my own business. So I'm really excited. So that's a short version of where I am today, I guess.
So inspiring.
Yeah,
Like,
it's really
absolutely.
exciting. And the whole point of it is that, it can be such an intimidating part of your journey of buying property and being in the property space, and you don't know where to start. And I think there's sometimes now too much information out there and you need to just be able to condense it. And so yeah, now I get to help people, and it's all about education, empowering you to make the right financial decisions for yourself, but being warm, being approachable, not being intimidating, and it being a fun, exciting process. Not how I felt when I bought my first home. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I do what I do, and I feel so much fulfillment and purpose, and so it's great. Yeah, I love it.
Isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
And purchasing your property at such a young age, what did you find? Like with the whole process of everything, what was the hardest? Was it getting the finance in the beginning?
Saving up the deposit was really tough.
Yes.
I'm so grateful I got to live at home with my family, and my dad was pivotal in that entire process for me.
Yes.
I had that privilege, and it's something that I will absolutely acknowledge, because a lot of people aren't in that position, that I was able to live at home till 23. Yeah, I paid board, but nothing in comparison to what normal rent would be. And I had that support of my family, and that's something that a lot of people don't have. So I think that was a big thing for me. Earning enough money was a big one too. So I was working the 2 jobs to get that by. But then mainly being taken seriously in the property market. And that's where I ended up engaging a buyer's agent, and am so grateful for the work they did. And I will sing my heart and praises to buyer's agents and what they do. Good ones as well. They made that process so much easier for me because I was working 7 days a week at that point in time. Like I didn't have no time to go to open homes. And also it's my first time buying property. I have no idea what I'm looking for. I just knew I wanted something that would have good capital growth over time. This isn't my first, and like this will be my first property, but not my only property. It's not my dream home. So I wanted to make sure I was making the right financial decision. It's the biggest purchase of my life. And I needed to make sure I was doing it the right way and was putting all my ducks in a row. So saving that extra 15 grand was worth everything to me, because in the 2.5 years I've lived there, it's now gone up by $300,000. It's paid itself off. Yes, part of that is the market, but also making a good financial decision. So
absolutely, yeah, excellent. So, do you think that you'll be buying another property anytime soon, or what?
Not with the interest rates. I think something I've been really struggling with in the last couple of years, that I think a lot of people have been, is the rising interest rate market. I definitely bought above my means, and it's difficult, but it's something I wouldn't have changed. My property was $691,000, and my mortgage when I started, it was $550 a week. That was very feasible for me at the time. But then I switched careers like 4 months later. So didn't really anticipate that. So I went from 2 jobs earning about 120 grand to working full time in May 2022 for a broker for 60 grand. So I halved my income. At the time, when I look back, I don't know why I didn't fix. I just thought, well, I'm going to trust the RBA. I don't know enough. They said that the rates aren't going to go up till 2024. I'll fix sometime late in 2023 then. Obviously, then they started rising. We didn't think they'd rise so rapidly. So, just life and experience, to be honest, for me doing that. I mean, a lot of people, I have a lot of articles that come out, and I speak to a lot of journalists, and it's great to get that exposure. But a lot of people are like, you're stupid if you didn't think they were going to go up again. Yes, I knew they were going to go up again, but I didn't know how fast. But also, I'm young. I have to admit, you don't know everything as a mid 20-year-old. Like, people that are in their 60s are saying you should have known. And I'm like, well, I haven't been through the life cycles of property yet. And yes, now I know better as a mortgage broker, and I've done that. But that is why I'm in this position, because I want people to have that education that I was never given from professionals that I put my trust in. And so my mortgage brokers didn't tell me to fix. No one really told me to fix. And now my mortgage is $950 a week as a single person. Yes, I now have to rent out both my 2 rooms. I wouldn't change it for anything, but there are times where I'm like, is this worth it? And so that's probably the biggest struggle I've had now, is that I've kind of bought beyond my means. I can't refinance. I can't really buy anything yet until the rates start to come down and my income goes up. Starting a business though, we're starting from scratch again now. So it's going to be a little while, but that's okay. I'm okay, and it will work out. I always believe that everything will work out if you're working hard enough for it. So that's, I guess, a little bit of a struggle I'm going through at the moment. Being completely transparent, is mortgage rate rises. So no properties in the cards for me right now unless I sold, which I'm not going to do.
So what is your advice then for young generation with the cost of living and trying to save for this deposit to buy a property?
I think that you need to understand your why. I don't think people truly understand why they're buying property other than everyone else is doing it. Is it truly something that is going to give you a lot of joy? And is it what you want for your future? A lot of the time, yes, it is. But you need to really sit back and reflect and think, why am I buying a property? Is it to create wealth for yourself? Is it for stability? For me, it was stability. I've always been someone that craves stability in all areas of my life, and security, and renting constantly because my family was renting. I didn't like that. I didn't like someone that could kick me out or raise rent prices on me at any point in time. Yes, the RBA and the cash rate has been raising. That's been raising my mortgage, but no one can kick me out of my home. So that was the security I needed and I wanted, and that's why I so strongly wanted to buy my home. But if you're just buying property for the sake of buying property because everyone else is doing it, that's not the right reason, and you're not going to stay motivated, because saving that deposit is a long-term thing. You're not going to save a deposit in 3 months. You're going to save it over 6, 12, 18, 24 months, even longer. So you need to maintain that motivation and consistency for that, which will reflect eventually into a mortgage repayment, which will be consistent payments. So my biggest advice is speak to a broker that you really gel and connect with, and make sure they're not trying to push you to borrow to your absolute maximums. and make sure you're consistently saving and can evidence and prove that you'll be able to meet that repayment and save on top of that for extra costs, because holding property is expensive, but also you want to go on holidays. You want to buy nice things for yourself. So you don't want to be living on baked beans and noodles in your property. So with the cost of living pressures, if you're still struggling to save for that deposit, maybe just going, is this my goal right now? Or is it just to get through this kind of tougher part of life? And then eventually potentially look at property down the track once your income is stronger, or once you're in that position to potentially buy. There's not a rush. Property is always going to be there. Yes, property prices, I think, over the long term are going to keep increasing, but I don't ever look at the market. Look at your personal financial position right now. Is it good for you right now? If it's not, then the market's completely irrelevant. If the market's on a downturn, it's on a downturn. It's on an upturn, it's on an upturn. It goes in cycles. We know that.
Yeah.
So don't focus on the market and that it potentially is going to go up in price. Just focus on your personal financial position. Is this good for you? And are you ready to do that? And speaking to a broker is absolutely going to clear all of that up for you as well. So that's probably my best advice.
Yeah.
we
A
all
lot of people do put a lot of pressure on themselves trying to purchase, a property. So yeah, no, that's really, really great advice. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Definitely need to speak to a mortgage broker.
Oh, I'm here.
That's right.
And follow your social media
Absolutely.
pages.
Yeah.
I love, let us know what your social media are, like let everyone know. And I love that you post your net worth.
Yeah, I post everything. So you
I
can
love
see
that.
I post on my stories my daily expenses. I post what I'm saving, which is pretty much nothing at the moment because everything's going to the mortgage. And I've got a Europe trip at the end of the year, so I'm saving for that. But I've got money in investments and stocks that I've been saving. As I said at the start, I put money in Apple shares, which has done very well, which is great. But I have I'm fully transparent. Everybody can see that. And I'm so excited to start this chapter as a business owner now with my own business, because I'm going to help people see what behind the scenes is like on the costs of running my business and what that looks like. Everyone goes, oh, why would you post that? Why not? What's it going to do other than be more transparent and show people what it's like to hopefully set up their own business. As a mortgage broker, I get to work from home. My computer is literally everything, and my Wi-Fi. I'm not going to have an excessive amount of expenses, but I'm excited to share with what all the costs of setting that up are, and also what it's going to be ongoing, what I'm going to be earning from commissions. A lot of people in the broking industry were like, as soon as you go out on your own or you start making commissions, you're probably not going to share what you're earning. I'm like, why not? They're like, oh, well, that's like, why would you do that? That's like, they make people feel weird. I was like, why? Do people not want me to get paid for the job I do? Like, I'm so transparent about what I earn, and we work hard for what we earn. And a loan is 30 years long. Like, I'm working for you for 30 years. It's not similar to real estate where it's just a transaction, and after that, like, you might check in a couple of times, but that's essentially it. Once you've sold the house, you've sold the house. But a mortgage broker, like, your loan is for 30 years minimum, usually, if you're going to keep refinancing and things like that. So we're getting paid for that. And I want people to know what I get paid. And that might deter some people because they feel weird going, oh, well, you're getting paid from a bank and commissions and things like that. But for me, I'm just happy to be transparent. People want me to get paid, and they love that I don't have to pay me. It's a great service. I think what we offer is amazing, and it's accessible and it's free. Why would you not use a broker? But yeah, I'm so excited to be able to share that with people. But yeah, my Instagrams are moneywithmaddie, and I've just set up Money Lounge AU. So that will be all starting to come together now, which is really exciting. And hopefully by the time
Website coming soon, I see.
Yeah, website launching soon, which is really cool. So I'm in that process of setting up the business. So I'm really excited to take people on that journey, because I don't think a lot of people see what's behind the scenes of setting up a business and the costs involved. Every business is different, but I think, I'm so new to this in setting up a business. You can be great at your job, and that's obviously why I'm setting up a business, but it's still new to me and I'm learning. So yeah, it's really exciting, and there's so many intricacies and ins and outs, and how do you set up a website, and graphic design and accounting and all these things. And I'm like,
it's all fun and games.
yeah,
trust me.
well, you're wearing all these different hats. Like, I'm not just a mortgage broker anymore. I'm the admin person. I'm the accountant. I'm the graphic designer. I'm the marketer. Like, you're everything. You wear all these hats now. And I think people don't really share too much when they're a service-based industry what they're making, because they think that some people, we have tall poppy syndrome in Australia. And if you're doing well, are they still going to support you. And there is that case, absolutely. I know that a lot of people say, well, what if you're going to make, 500 grand a year? Do you think people are going to support you then? And I'm like, well, I hope people would be happy for my success. I'm happy for everyone else's success.
Yeah.
But you can also see that it's not just I've been making 500 grand overnight. Like I'm going to have, obviously it's going to take time to hopefully get there. I would love to be making that kind of money. But I'm so excited to take people on that journey. And I think transparency is always key. And the only way we can learn is collaboratively together, collaboration over competition always. And
100%.
I just love the idea that people can learn from me and hopefully I can learn from them. And that's the whole aim of the game. That's why I started my Instagram in the first place, because I'm still learning and I can learn from other people and people can learn from me. And so that's everything. I think there's enough success in the world for everybody.
Absolutely. You're really inspiring. It's, a young woman, I just feel like it's
anymore.
really, really inspiring.
Yeah, well, we all wouldn't think you were this age. Do you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm 26.
Oh, my God.
Yes.
To be 26 again. But no, I just love how transparent you are. And obviously, like you said, you've got into this business to inspire others and help others. So with that, it's not that it is about the money. And like I always say to Sarah, richness is in happiness.
Absolutely.
And you're providing that
Yeah.
to the younger generation.
Yes.
Right now, you're being transparent to help them inspire. And like you said, back with the whole buying a property, is that your why? What is the why?
Yeah, I'm not going to push people
it's the
into
same
it.
with starting a business. Why are you looking at starting a business? Is it for the dollar factor?
Yeah.
Because that's never going to
not
give
gonna be a
you the
long term.
richness back.
Absolutely.
No.
Money flows where energy goes. And I will never be pushy. I will never force someone into because technically mortgage broking, I didn't think about it until my previous job, but it is a sales job because you're telling people what you are, like the lender option, and you're giving them options, and you go, this is the one you're going to go with, and this is what we're doing. And so it technically is a sales job because you're going, okay, I'm basically giving you a product, or I'm providing a service, and I've got to sell that service to you. But I don't like that mentality. A lot of them do that. And that's fine. I think that's a very old school way of thinking, but I'm not pushy on anything. And I'm like, you can borrow this amount, but I don't want you to borrow this amount. Mortgage brokers get paid on commission, which is a percentage base off what the loan size is. So me telling you to borrow less is it's for your benefit. It's not for my benefit. I'll get paid less, but I don't care.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that you can make your repayments, and you're going to be in the position that I was in and I have been in for the last 2 years. That's my goal, is making sure that people are comfortable. It's affordable. They know why every step of the process is, they know the exact ins and outs, why we're doing everything we're doing, and they feel educated. If someone just wants a broker that is just going to get the deal done for them and no questions asked and not really do it, I'm probably not the broker for you. And yes, I do get paid the exact same amount as a broker that has to put less of that educational aspect in, but I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it to help people. Yes, I need to pay my bills, so I obviously do want to get paid, but I love that I'm a free service. A lot of brokers charge fees now, which is completely fair. But I truly love what I do, and I'm so passionate about it. And I'm so proud of the people I've helped and have impacted their lives. And that's the most important thing to me. So it's very interesting being in the property space and seeing how people work. And you would see it yourselves. A lot of people are in it for the money, and that's great. But that's not going to make you happy at the end of the day. And it's not going to be a rich life for you, as you said, moving forward. I'm aiming to be in this industry for 30, 40 years. So how am I going to go through that if I'm just going about money? There's always going to be ups and downs. There's flows. As the property market slows down and goes up, there's a cycle. How are you going to go through those harder times if all you're chasing is the money?
Yes.
So, yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, money definitely changes people.
It does.
And usually not in a positive way.
Yeah.
Which is sad to see.
It is.
But it's like what I said to Sarah, I did a record sale recently, and I can tell you, anyone that called me were like, wow, imagine the commission you earned on that. And do you know what? I went back and said, wow, I don't even care about the commission. I just care that this vendor was on the market for 10 months and I sold it within 30 days.
That's insane.
That is what I cared about. I helped this vendor for a very tough time, and it wasn't just about selling the property. He was unwell and he needed that for his family closure as well. And that was the reward I got from it.
Beautiful.
It was
amazing.
the fact that I sold it in that time, and I sold it. Unfortunately, that vendor ended up passing away straight after the sale.
Oh my gosh.
And so I sold it prior to him passing away. That wasn't what I knew. No one knew he was going to pass away. But that was where the richness came for me, is that he got closure and he knew that everything was settled for his family.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful, Jess.
And I think more people in this industry need to look that way as well. And this is where us as professions are changing the industry. I go and ring for appraisal, and you know, the number of times people hang up on me because they hate sales agents. And one day I spoke to a vendor who'd been in property for like 40 years, transacting property. And he said, I just don't trust them. I don't trust them. I said, just give me a go. Just let me come and have tea and bickies with you. Let's talk. I'm here to help you.
Yes.
I'm not here for the dollars.
No.
I really don't care about that. It's about creating that experience of having that dream lifestyle, whether it is buying property, whether it is going on your holiday, whether it is having kids, whether it is, you know, starting your first business, whatever your why is, that is going to give you that ultimate happiness.
Absolutely. 100%.
That's the important part. You would agree with that as well.
Oh, absolutely. So for myself, I only have a couple of clients at a time. I'm not here chasing 10 or more clients. That's for me personally, because I need to make sure that the people I look after, they're getting all my attention. And I want to make sure that I give them the best service from start to finish and after the process of purchasing their property. So, yeah, a lot of people say, oh, no, you could make all this money, you know, if you have 10 or more clients per month and just churn them over, churn.
Transactions.
That's not who I am.
People aren't transactions.
Why not?
For myself personally, it's about lifestyle, and success to me is about having a really great lifestyle that I can live with my family and myself, also making money, but also helping people.
Yeah,
that's my number one goal. So,
people really can tell ingenuity now. Like we can spot a fake now from miles away, and that's a big thing on social media. You can tell it in person. You can tell it if someone is in it for the money. I mean, that might be like, you're like, cool. If you're in it for the money, especially as a real estate agent, sometimes people are like, yeah, cool. I want you to get the highest price possible. You're going to get paid for that. Awesome. I don't care. But a lot of the times I find, and I think it's a big superpower being a woman in our industry, even though we're working only 25% of us are women, is that people know, like, there's a lot more of a warmth of nature and we're a lot less intimidating. I tend to find more genuine and not chasing the dollars as much as the men. But I find it's a superpower. I love it. I'm way less intimidating. I'm way more approachable, and you're way more likely to trust me because I am way more genuine in that sense. So people can spot it from a mile away. I can spot someone that's not genuine from a mile away. You can these days. That's something we look out for. We look at Google reviews online, but now it's mainly word of mouth. And so if you're not genuine, that's going to seep through. So I think that's absolutely the case. And that's why I love women in this industry. It's amazing. I feel like we're all, especially younger in this generation, we're pulling it into a better place. And I love that. I love it so much.
Yeah. I feel like women are really empowering each other and uplifting each other. And it's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
On that note about understanding people that are genuine, like I'm reading a book at the moment called Surrounded by Idiots, and it's about the 4 types of human behavior. It's definitely, I started reading it for a sole purpose, but I've expanded. It's actually helped me with business as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because you understand human behavior, and it's not about just the idiots. It's like we title somebody an idiot, but they're not an idiot because they don't understand what we're talking about because of the way they're wired.
Yeah.
So it's understanding that there's no dumb questions to be asked as well.
Absolutely.
But also it's seeing through people. And knowing the fake first to genuine people as well.
Absolutely. 100%.
So Maddie, on conclusion, what do you think someone needs to do right now in this finance world to buy a property? Like, what are some tips that you can give?
Ooh.
Yes.
It's a big one.
The golden question.
It's a big one, yes.
What age did you start saving?
15.
Yeah, I was 14 9 months. I was the exact same.
As soon as I started really earning money is when I saved. I've always wanted to buy a property. This wasn't like an overnight thing for me.
Yeah.
So the big thing is maintaining motivation. I think my biggest tips that I give my clients is focus on what you're saving, not what you're spending. I think a lot of people get too caught up in, they create this unrealistic budget. I'm going to give myself $50 to spend per week. And then we get caught up in, we do want to go to drinks with our friends and we do want to go out because we don't want to lose our life because it's a 2-year, 3-year game to save.
Yeah.
You're going to keep saying no to all these things. You're going to be miserable. And you're like, well, what's this for? Because you don't feel like you're getting further ahead. So I focus on what I was saving and not what I'm investing. And when I started to do that, I naturally tended to save more because I'd stopped going, okay, I need to save $1,000 a week. I was like, drop it back. And like, I literally was like $1,000 a week to save, $50 a week to spend. That's just not, it's not life. It's not realistic. You go out for dinner once and you're like, I do want to have a wine. And then you want to have an entree and then you blow that and you're like, okay, well, my friend wants to go get a coffee. I'll just transfer out of savings. Transfer is your literal enemy. Transferring out of savings is your enemy because you're like, I did save $1,000 a week for the last 6 months. Where's my 30 grand? Why don't I have that saved? You've transferred and then you start to lose everything.
Yes.
So let's just use some round numbers. Let's use the $50 a week and the $1,000 a week saving. I pulled that back to $700 a week saving and I gave myself $350 a week to spend. That may sound excessive, but it allows you to go, I'm giving myself this to spend. And it's like stopping you from psychologically pushing a red button of I'm not allowed to do this, I'm not allowed to do this.
Yes.
So I would never touch that $700 a week in my savings and that would continue to grow consistently because I was making myself, I ended up having to force myself because I think our generation or as the Gen Z and millennials, if we got a savings goal, we struggle to spend money and we have this negative attachment to it and we hate ourselves for spending money. And then so we feel bad about ourselves. So what do? We transfer out of savings to spend more to make us feel a bit more like get that dopamine hit of spending and I enjoy this. And then you're like, but I'm really sad. I've just like spent money. So now I'm going to go do it again. And it's just this downward spiral. So you got to stop the downward spiral and be like, I'm allowing myself to spend money. I'm going to give myself $200, $300 a week, even though I usually give myself $100, I'm going to give myself more because it's going to stop you from spending. Yes. And the thing is I would then end up only spending maybe $200 in that week, but I've given myself $350. That $150 doesn't go to savings. It does not go to savings. That can go to a short-term little mini bucket for you, a buffer for you for maybe a friend spontaneously asks you to go to a concert or you want to buy a $250 jacket or you want to go travel and see your family. You now have a little bucket that you don't have to touch your long-term savings for. You've got this little bucket there that you can dip in and out of as much as you please, but your long-term savings is just staying there. Yes, it may feel like it's slower, but I guarantee it'll be faster. Focus on what you save, not what you're spending. Enjoy your life and you will find that you'll have a more positive relationship with the money that is coming in and out of your bank account, that you won't feel this negative connotation about saving. I guarantee your motivation will last a lot longer because you'll actually see the money going up. You'll forget about it because you haven't had to transfer out of it because you've been able to give yourself that money to save. Whether that's $50 a week goes up to $100, $200, $300, $400, $500. If you give yourself $500 a week, but you're not touching your savings, you are further ahead than you were before. Budgeting is like a diet. If you are restrictive, you will binge. And so,
I love that.
But everything in moderation, we say. We're like, allow yourself to get the chocolates, allow yourself to have a donut here and there.
Yes.
That is, consistency is key.
Yes.
And if you just give yourself a little bit more, be more positive with money, allow yourself to spend, psychologically, you're going to be like, there's no big red button for me to stop. Like I'm telling myself no spending. And you're like, I really want to spend. You just be like, I found that I ended up not wanting to push the big red button anymore because I was like, I literally have $350 a week to spend now.
Yes.
What am I going to do with that money?
Yeah.
Like I just don't know. And like that could be a different number for everybody. And I think figuring that out is important. So if you're aiming, if like someone tells me, I'm aiming to save $500 a week, I'm like, pull it down to $250. I don't care what you do, to pull it down to $250. And they're like, what? I'm like, do it. I'm like, well, you haven't been doing that lately. $250, if you find that's comfortable, then up to $300 after 3 months, then up to $400 after another 6 months. Do it slowly. And I guarantee you start to build those proper habits better And then as you start to, obviously, if you get pay rises, you start to save that and like no lifestyle creep, but give yourself money to spend. It sounds so counterintuitive.
I love that.
But it's my biggest tip is focus on what you save. And as long as you're saving, you don't transfer out your savings. I don't care what you spend. Enjoy your life. Go do it. But like, that's the way honestly, you're transferring is enemy. So the way you combat that is it's all up here in your brain. Money psychology is everything.
Absolutely.
So don't give yourself a big red button that you feel like you need to push. Just allow yourself to do it and you will have a better positive mindset. And yeah.
Where were you when I was 20? I needed all this advice when I was 20.
Sorry.
This is why we started the podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's probably my biggest tip. I know it was a bit of a tangent, but I'm so passionate about it.
No.
You can see it. You can feel it. And it's incredible, honestly. You're so inspiring.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Like, you're so right. Like, you just need to live your life.
You do.
It's just like we put so much pressure on ourselves. But let it go.
Absolutely.
You never know what tomorrow's going to bring. So live every day as if it was your last.
With your girlfriends.
Like,
I mean, I think I wholeheartedly believe in compromise. Like if you, instead of going out for breakfast, why don't you go for a walk with a coffee? And that's $5 or $6 now, how ridiculous inflation is. Instead of a $30 breakfast. When you go out for dinner with friends, don't get an entree, a main and a cocktail. I'll get a wine and just a main. Like don't stop yourself from doing things. Just compromise a little bit. Because if you say no, you're going to be miserable.
Yeah.
So just be smarter about it. Like instead of an $80 dinner, it's going to be $30 now. Why don't you just get like a Coke or a Pepsi? Like just have that instead of getting a cocktail. Get a virgin cocktail if you really want to.
Well, I don't drink. So I save so much money not drinking alcohol.
Coffee,
so when I go out with the girls, sometimes our dinner's like $600.
Yeah. And
you're
like,
oh, we're
mine's
going
30.
sixes? Like, are we splitting? I said, absolutely no. I paid $40 for my dinner.
Absolutely not.
Here's $40.
Yeah.
I'm not paying for your cocktails.
Absolutely. Yeah. But like that's the thing is you've got to figure out what your why is and your goal. And my biggest mantra that I take in life is you can have everything, but not at once. And so do you want to travel? Do you want a house? Do you want a new car? Figure out your priority and then you work at one at each time. If you start to split everything up, you don't feel like you're moving to any of those goals. Just tick off one at a time.
If you tick off one at a time, then you do have everything.
And then you have the motivation. Exactly. You can have everything, just not at once. Save for one thing at a time. So yeah, those are, I guess, 3 tips right there.
love it.
Yeah.
Incredible. Well, we really appreciate you being here with us
Of course.
and having you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel honoured.
Thank you so much. And we can't wait for everyone to listen to all your money tips.
Sounds good.
Let's get it, girls.
Let's get it, girls.
Thank you.
Thank you.